live from Spark HQ. Good morning. All right, here we are talking about the biz of PT. Well, welcome to the new year. Happy New Year's 2024. Only the third, so first episode of the year, only 3 days in. Not bad. We are talking about some PT biz stuff, and as it relates to what you're going to experience from a physical therapist's perspective, from a patient's perspective, and then another group that we actually like talking about is student PTs. We've had student physical therapists since a long time. Yeah, we do it a little differently because, we show the quality side a little bit differently. We don't do a lot of the back end like most physical therapy clinics do, but in general, we love having students. It allows us to sharpen our skills as teachers and educators and people who are hands-on and shape some of the future, because this is not a normal setting. But the three groups that we're talking about today, specifically, I want to start with patients. And what is a patient to expect when they go into a physical therapy setting that is, let's say, not traditional? We're talking right now about higher volume clinics, or just clinics that accept, a large number of private pay, third-party payment, insurance, and all these different things, right? And then you have the other side of the spectrum is similar to what we are. We're a fee-for-service practice. We work with folks to get them reimbursed with their insurance, but really our prices are set very differently than a lot of the standard, and we work with patients to, credit cards, things like that. So we are doing so that we can preserve our quality standard, and that's kind of what I want to discuss here. So when you are going to a third-party payment clinic, I have to understand that these places have to constantly argue back and forth with the third-party payer to be reimbursed for service. And that is just the basic thing. That game has to be played constantly. That game is up and down, back and forth, and takes effort, takes teamwork, takes resources on the side of the clinic to do that. And that all has to come from somewhere. So what happens is we start to see more patients stack up on physical therapists' client loads. And so if you're a patient going into a place like that, you are going to see a therapist. These people see so many folks a day that they're very skilled at this pattern recognition, but unfortunately don't, like, as what I want to do. I want my hands on people. I want to help them move better. They don't really get that opportunity as much as they'd like to in a clinic like that. However, you're going to see a ton of movement. You're going to likely be exposed to a bunch of different modalities that you otherwise may not. Different laser technologies, different ultrasound technologies. Sure, that's all fun toys. We could talk in another episode about the literature that supports these kinds of things. But that is the kind of care you're going to go and see. Now, when you go towards the side of movement, more rehab, prehab, or bulletproofing, if you're staying in a clinic like that, fortunately, I've seen lots of places take on staff like, hey, what's going on, Jeff? Take on staff that have a higher level of strength and conditioning knowledge. So I'm seeing in those clinics, good trainers, good coaches, carrying forward plans of care. And so you may see some continuity there, and you may see some good coaching there. That's a trend that I'm seeing, and I'm very, very excited about. So the other side of the coin is you are basically made to put some skin in the game. Okay. The idea here is we're not charging what PT clinics who build insurance charge, but we do have to keep the lights on here. But I'm going to tell you right now, people who are doing cash PT the way we're doing it are not buying boats. We're keeping the lights on, paying good people, and just trying to keep our services accessible. So in general, you come into a place like this, and you'd be with a therapist, a coach, or whatever professional you're going to see that day for the full time, right? And all it's going to do is going to allow all of the subjective, let's say complaint, let's say story, let's say your whole picture to come out over time. When you only have 10 minutes to evaluate someone, you can ask a certain number of questions. You better be really excellent at that pattern recognition. And if you are, you're going to be able to find the lane to stay in to help that person. But for us, we use 20, 30, 40 minutes to get that full picture. And then in the end, have one answer where everyone can have the most education about the plan that's going to be going forward. And so that part, while not for everyone, it costs a little bit of money out of pocket. We have processes for getting reimbursement for folks. But in the end, our concern is better movement, no pain, no restriction. That's our goal. And the rest of the things that happen outside of our clinic, we will assist as much as possible. But again, the other group I wanted to talk about, which I haven't much so far, is our student PT groups. And seeing the difference between those two stories that I just laid out is an important thing. I actually recommend any student who has not gone to a traditional in-network clinic to do so, and to do so even if they are just going on their own over a weekend or a weeknight day, to see the difference. Because I'll tell you, when you promote evidence-informed practice and evidence-based practice, you need some time. You need to be able to test and retest. And that's what I like students. And if you're a student and you're watching, please understand you do not have to accept that high volume clinic, the less you're kind of on an island sort of setup when you're doing your affiliations. You do not have to accept that. Make sure to advocate for yourself. And so the other bit is if you're a PT, right? So if you're a patient, you're obviously going to see differences in what it looks and feels like. If you're a student, understanding the spectrum between which you're going to be operating, whether or not you're going to be able to practice the way you want to practice. And then, so if you're a therapist, if you love taking notes home, if you enjoy quick lunch breaks and a lot of paperwork, those clinics are great. They usually pay a little better. I would say that honestly. They usually have in bonus structures and advancement structures within those large networks of clinics, because usually they're pretty big. That is how those clinics will usually negotiate rates from third-party payers. And so that trickles down by saying, okay, well, if we can only get a certain amount per patient, per unit, well, we have to just add more patients. And that's really simple because there's no time limit. There's no few restrictions on how many patients a therapist can see. And so that's how you make up the difference. So as a therapist, you go, well, am I practicing PT? I'm kind of like a crossing guard? Am I doing a lot of paperwork? I tend to spend the most of my day writing letters of medical necessity to insurance companies to say this is the reason I do care. Well, let's just do the care. Let's just think about what it is that makes care important, who we're giving care at, and increasing or improving the standard upon which patients can expect to be treated when they go into a physical therapy clinic. That leads me to the one thing I wanted to touch on, which is a potential expansion on our side. So this is the first time I'm saying something out loud. We have signed a letter of intent to move Spark HQ just a couple miles down the road to a new facility. We are currently in about 4,000 square feet where we house our sports medicine, our orthopedic and physical therapy practice, as well as our sports performance work that we do for awesome folks in the area who want to just look good and feel better. And we're about 4,000 square feet now, and we're looking to expand to over 16,000 square feet in the coming months. So keep an eye on that. Morning Joe will get a little bit of a makeover. I would like to do what we call like a Spark Fieldhouse look-in. And so let's see how this goes. I'm putting it in the universe. We're excited about it. If you want to get involved, we actually are looking for all kinds of folks to work and volunteer and learn and be in the field house to kind of make the culture what it's going to be. So let's chat about that coming episodes. This will be fun. All right, guys. I hope today was useful. I just like talking about this stuff. If you have questions or specific subjects you want me to hit, ask. All right, guys. Enjoy your day. Cheers.